Hey, Stephen Yondi doing the Junkyard Crawl here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts with a 1960 Plymouth Belvedere. These were really special cars for a variety of reasons. In fact, these are the first semi-unitized construction full-size Mopars, 1960 onward. The Valiant was fully unitized. We'll get to that in a second. The only exception to the unitized construction was the Imperial. These things right here, these remained body on frame through the mid-1960s. But beyond or below the Imperial, all Chryslers went to unitized or semi-unitized construction from 1960 onward. Now, when I'm talking about fully unitized construction, well, here is right here. This is a 1960 Plymouth Valiant SAE white paper, so to speak. Again, the Society of Automotive Engineers. But in here, Chrysler's touting and bragging about their new compact Valiant for 1960. Of course, by Lutfero, Virgil Exner, and Mr. Sinclair, but Exner, of course, the stylist. But the big thing about the Valiant was its fully unitized construction. What that means is that from the rear quarter panels to the radiator support, it's all one welded inner structure. There's no under frame. It's unitized construction. And again, B-body, Roadrunner, Charger, Super B, and of course A-bodies, Duster, all that kind of stuff, they were all fully unitized. Now, when I say semi-unitized, well, that's where we get into these full-sized cars. Now, on these ones, from the firewall to the taillights, these are a one-piece tub. However, the front frame is still a bolt-on unit. Think 67 Camaro Firebird or 68 Up Nova. Yeah, these had a bolt-on front subframe. We see it right here. We look down here in this big structure, this iron thing that goes under, and it's like a big H that goes all the way under the seats, this frame here. But again, not out to the back. It ends under the seats and it bolts to the underside of the steel tub, which makes this, again, semi-unitized construction. Now, this one is a 1960, a couple of years, and really getting kind of weird. The Virgil Exner styling of the 50s kind of overdosed a little bit and got really bizarre. Sales were reasonable. In fact, for 1960, Plymouth sold 447,722 cars, which was a pretty good number. However, Rambler was having a really good year, and they sold 1,800 cars more than Plymouth did, pushing Plymouth from third down to fourth place. But still, 1960 was a pretty good year despite the bizarre styling. In 61, it got even weirder. But with that said, this is a 60, and it's, you know, I'm surprised at how raunchy and rotten some parts are, and yet the grille, the anodized aluminum grille, is still in very good condition. So is the bumper. Really not bad. A little bend there, but it could be repaired. The center emblem is still got its gold anodized, so it's a weird hybrid of desolation and preservation all at the same time. Now, speaking of 1960, here is Motor Trend, March of 60, and on the cover a really cool tri-carb small block Chevrolet, but inside, oh, by the way, look at this. This one here was sold originally to Marcia Newman of 1154 East 28th Street, San Bernardino, California. And again, I used to buy car collection or magazine collections in California, and this is one of them from way back when. Now I'm in Massachusetts, but I still have the magazines. Anyway, here on the inside front cover of this thing is a Plymouth ad right there. And 1960 Plymouth, the performance king in its field. And that's Tom McCahill. He was Mechanics Illustrated's road test editor. Uncle Tom McCahill, they called him. He was a hilarious guy, always wrote funny reviews. But he's basically saying it can drill through hard bends and switchbacks as adroitly as many top-rated sports cars, says Tom Mechanics of Mechanics Illustrated. So anyway, it's interesting to have Tom McCahill shilling for Plymouth in 1960. But inside there's an actual test, which is kind of eye-opening, and here it is right here. This is a Fury road test. The Fury was the top-line model, but there it is by Motor Trend's Charles Nurple being tested. And on the right-hand side, that weird engine, that is first-year Sonoramic dual-quad Ram-tuned 361 V8. Also a 360 or 383 was optional with that same deal. And again, the Sonoramic engine was Chrysler's first Ram-tuned cross-ram, and there would be one 4-barrel here, one 4-barrel there, and one side would feed the other bank. So there basically was like a cheap supercharger, like a tunnel ram. Instead of being up, it just folded over under the hood. Kind of cool. And again, they were available in Plymouth through 1964, full size. Well, Chrysler's through 64, but Plymouth's here in 60, 61, and this is not one of them, or is it? Well, let's keep looking. Now, this one does not have the front suspension, but this, of course, would have been a torsion bar car, upper and lower control arms with torsion bars anchored under the seat and then twisting. And again, that was something new for 57 and used on all full-size Chryslers into the 70s. But let's take a look inside. And on this one, we can learn if it was a 6-cylinder car or a V8 by going to that chrome VIN down there. The first character tells us everything and nothing. We see a 3, which says this was born a V8. A 2 would be the new slant 6 for 1960, but again, a V8. Now, the only problem is which one? The 318 Poly, the 318 4-barrel Poly, the 361 4-barrel, 361 cross ram, 383 4-barrel, or 383 cross ram. Well, a little hint is here in the back. This is this air cleaner right here. You can see it has a small hole right there, that little tiny hole. That tells us it has the BBD 2-barrel carburetor. It's kind of weird how Chrysler used this turnbuckle to tighten the air cleaner base onto the mouth of the carburetor. Now this one here, being a single snorkel, oh, God, rust. Rust never sleeps. Neil Young was right. But this would have been a 318 2-barrel car, 230 horsepower, the base V8. Okay, you know, most of them were. They weren't all cross rams, but there's that. Now, this is a 4-door sedan Belvedere with the fixed B-pillar. Of course, there was also a hardtop available with no pillar and no door frames, kind of an open-air motoring experience. Now here is something it's missing here. These would have had the final year, 1960. The tail fins would have come up, this weird thing up like that. In fact, there's a movie called It's a Mad, 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 Mad World from 1962. And they had taxi cabs based on 60 Plymouths in that movie getting blown around in donuts and beat up. And they were 1960s with that crazy tail fin. And so if you ever get a chance to see It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, check it out. You'll like that. But again, this one's been de-finned, kind of like a tuna or a shark, thrown back in the water. That's terrible. Don't do that. It's illegal. But inside the trunk, well, there's that. And it's kind of sad, again, to see the shiny enamel, you know, rose metallic paint right there, surviving all these years, where the rest of the vehicle is pretty much turned to paper. Look at this right here, the trunk lip right here. I can put my fingers through that. I mean, how crazy is that? You know, when I was in high school, this thing was probably sitting here rusting away in 1982. When I graduated from college, it was still probably getting thinner and thinner. And another 500 years from now, when I'm in the ground, this thing will probably still be sitting here rusting away. In fact, it'll probably be a pile of dust on the ground. But again, this one has been harvested of its tail fins, probably for a man cave or a Hard Rock Cafe setting. But it is surprising to see the curved rear window still in pretty good shape. Now, it's not tinted. Again, tinted glass today is very normal, but this is the regular clear window. Try to find this today. So this has got some value. As for the rest of this car, well, its strength and its weakness, the unit construction, which, again, the unit construction is something that prevents leaks and creaks, but it also is something that when it starts to rust, you can't just pull the body off, replace the frame, and get a new frame. These things are married forever, and the rust probably never stops on this thing. I'm sure that the frame on this thing is probably just as bad as anywhere else. So this 60 Plymouth solid beauty for 1960, not so solid anymore, will probably stay right here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking. But that's the story of how 1960 brought semi-unitized construction to the full-size cars and fully unitized construction to the compact A-bodies. And so that's why I like to say that the junkyard is more than a junkyard, it's also a classroom. So if you like this classroom session here, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggie YouTube channel. There's lots more of this.